Hello world. We start off this episode in the general's room. You see, the former general who was turned into Raoul's undead slave is now also hosting interviews. He introduces us to the guest of today, Archmage Wendell and Saint Christiana. Wendell makes small talk by calling the general a totally new man. Saint Christiana chimes in and calls the general grotesque but cute. The general says he is grateful. He asks Wendell what Raoul is to him. In response, he says Raoul is just a crybaby that he used as a means to raise his reputations. The general then asks what Saint Christiana thinks. She reflects for a bit, then says Raoul is a beloved comrade to her. This has both the general and Wendell speechless, as Christiana was obviously the one that caused Raoul so much suffering. She then goes on to add that she wants Raoul to be happy after suffering through so much. Wendell says Raoul is unlucky for being loved by only crazy women. The general agrees, and Christiana says that both the general and Wendell are beloved to her too. This is pretty concerning to Wendell and the general alike, and that's where they end the general's room. In the actual proper timeline, we see the princess yell in a rage, "That's enough." This screaming grabs the attention of everyone, including Raoul and Saint Christiana. They look at the princess, and she looks pretty deranged. This sight makes Raoul happy because he now knows for sure that the princess is 100% embarrassed of her goofy fetishes. The princess is pretty embarrassed and denies his claim. She says she is just denying his claims as her face is strawberry red. She makes a weird sound that is like a combination between wheezing, panting, and a laugh. She goes wide-eyed and says the happy look on his face ends here because she has found the weakness of his dark magic. She adds on that as long as you understand the attribute, it is easy to conquer. She reveals the ultimate weakness and counter to dark magic: holy magic. Raoul hits her with a bombastic side eye, and with eagerness in her breath, she explains that light magic is the only magic capable of purifying dark magic. She laughs more as she announces to everyone that they should fear no more, for she will protect everyone and slay the hero once more. She says the curse on their land will be no more as of today, and everyone shall regain their lost freedom. This inspires everyone, and they sing songs of praise of the princess. The princess then has a face-off with the former hero, Raoul Evans. Her sadistic and twisted eyes meet with the cold eyes of the betrayed hero as she boasts of how she will watch his corpse rot to bones. "Kill him," the princess says. Christiana says she will try. She then uses her holy magic as Raoul stares at her with a faint smile, and the princess laughs to her heart's content. But to the dismay of the princess, what Christiana says next will change the whole balance of the game in Raoul's favor. Just before Christiana uses her magic, she says, "Just kidding." She is apologetic to the princess but must refuse her order. Well, the look on the princess's face says it all. Just as everything was going right for her, it all fell apart. As the princess grabs Christiana, she asks her to hurry up and kill the hero. She asks if Christiana wants to save the citizens too. Christiana says she does, but she can't do it because becoming a traitor is too much of a risk. Raoul creaks a subtle smirk as the princess asks what Christiana means. To sum up what she is talking about, Christiana quotes her orders from the king himself. "For someone who was born a woman, she seemed to have some use, so I allowed her to live, and yet for her to freely go wild and hunt my retainers. Let alone no longer necessary, she is an eyesore. Victoria is to be disposed of." This is a bombshell to the princess, and she is in disbelief. She says that it is impossible for her father to want her disposed of. She tells Christiana to use her head because it is impossible that her father would abandon her. The citizens are in just as much of a state of shock as her. But then a voice speaks. It is Raoul, and he tells Christiana to show Victoria the proof. "Oh, you're right," Christiana says as she goes through her magic purse to find it. When she finally finds it, it is like the blood in the princess stopped flowing. She hands over the document to the princess. The princess, with sweat dripping from her face and shaking hands, takes the document. She recognizes the crest on it as the royal crest. Raoul, with eyes seething in distorted justice, asks if the princess is happy receiving a gift from her father. The people are pretty flabbergasted by this news. They ask if it is true that the king wants to get rid of the princess. But at this very time, the princess still has yet to have read the king's document. With tensions high, she reads it. What she reads leaves her absolutely mind blown. Due to her freezing up, Raoul takes matters into his own hands and reads it aloud for everyone to hear. "Your life cannot be used for anything but as a sacrifice. Use that life to appease the hero's anger instead of ending up as a dull, incompetent girl. I will give you a meaningful death. Cry and thank me. Oh, I would feel bad for her if she wasn't such a female dog. Saint Christiana feels bad for the princess. I mean, after all, she was abandoned by her own father. The people also are still in disbelief due to this news. Raoul, the ever so light-hearted spirit, makes just of the situation. The princess doesn't like this and enters the first and second stage of grief, denial and anger. She tears up the paper and says this isn't true. She commands the knights to capture the former hero, but the knights hesitate. And honestly, they should. After all, the princess has been condemned by the king, and to obey her will be to disobey the king. Saint Christiana butts in, saying that it isn't nice to confuse the knights like that. She then tells the knights that there is nothing to fear. They have no reason to listen to the princess. Because of this bold speech by Saint Christiana, I believe the princess has fully submerged into the second stage of grief. Anger. Who do you believe? The one you serve is me, right? That is enough for you to obey me like a simple puppet. The knights are speechless as many questions go through their heads. They don't know what to do. After all, both the king and the princess are royalty, and they swore their loyalty to the both of them. What a dilemma. Raoul is laughing, for what is probably his first time genuinely doing so. Of course, this only amplifies the princess's emotions. She asks if the soldiers are betraying her. In response, they say nothing. At this point, she is looking for someone to take her anger out on, and it is then she decides it is gonna be Raoul. She asks him if he just laughed at her. At this point, her ego has taken enough of a beating, and she blames this whole situation on Raoul. She claims she is gonna kill him, and even gets into his personal space. It seems Raoul agrees with me because he pushes her off of him with one hand. He asks her how she plans on killing him. I mean, he is already dying of laughter right now. And we get this pathetic but satisfying view of the princess on the floor. Raoul even calls her a dog. Her face is also pretty red. Maybe she is actually enjoying this. She starts blabbering on about how she will never forgive Raoul. Raoul could not care less and tries to end the show. After all, he wants to go and report to the king of what has happened. But oh wait, the princess isn't done yet. She enters the third stage of grief, bargaining. She says that her father has no other children. It's only her. She then begins to self-snitch, saying that she made sure that she is the only child of the king alive. Of course, anyone with a functioning brain will know what that implies. But holy hell, Raoul drops a nuke. And the princess was pretty happy too. He says there are others. 3 others to be exact. And oh wait, it seems the princess is finally about to have a mental breakdown. Well, that's where this episode ends. Episodes may or may not be a little shorter for now, mainly because I have to work on part 1, 2, and 3. Anyway, leave a like and subscribe so that I can be motivated to make more episodes.